my thoughts on the meeting tonight. Really enjoyed it. My first critique is going to be on the room, which I'm not as impressed with as the other rooms we have available. I feel like it's a bit gloomy tonight. Some of the people who were standing up here, I think everyone, to be fair, who were standing up here, is a little bit shrouded in darkness. I think some of the other rooms give a better presentation of the stage and allow people to give their speeches better. So preferably in the other rooms. But everyone did well, despite that. So on to the opening role of the night, the Sergeant at Arms, Keith. Keith, so I think you've done this role a few times before. You did it really well tonight. You covered up all the key points. You talked us through fire exits, the toilets, called out phones, although some people, like Ed, seem to have forgotten about them. You did really well. There were a few nerves at the start, but I see a really improvement in you, Keith. I think before you used quite a few crutch words, but now I think they're starting to fade out a bit, and you're really starting to use your notes less and build on it. So I'd just say keep coming up for roles, sign up for bigger roles, keep going. You're doing some good improvement. Well done. Then on to Salma, our timekeeper. I think you've done this role once before, Salma, maybe? No, not at all. So that's even more kudos tonight. Well done. I think you had excellent eye contact tonight in previous meetings when you've been up here. I feel like you've been really on at your notes, making sure you get every word perfect. But tonight you looked up, you engaged with the audience more. That was great to see. Some of the eye contact was a little bit fixed, and maybe just have the confidence just to engage with a few more members of the audience, but I can definitely see progression there for you. One thing I think I picked up on tonight is, I think as a personality trait, it seems to me like you're quite a perfectionist. You're really into the detail of the timings, and someone was ticking off each time it went and making sure the times on your phone were correct, and it almost felt like some of the enjoyment of the meeting was taken away tonight because you were so studied in making sure you were getting that bang on. And as an improvement point, I think generally across the board, I try and throw some of that perfectionist nature to the side. Forget less about content, more about delivery and the performance. So I think you've grown really in the role tonight, but maybe just take that on to the next role. The grammarian, Gary, who came up and gave us a great word of the day, perseverance. Didn't realise it was that long, very many letters than that, but a good word, really accessible, 7 uses tonight, he said. That was quite nice to see. I've written down that I was disappointed I couldn't read your t-shirt because of your book over it all the time, so I was quite interested in your bike facts, but I never got to read them, unfortunately. But you called out a lot of great phraseology from people in the meeting. Every time you called out something that people said, you let it hang in the air so people could remember it, think about the meaning of it. Thought that was nicely delivered. And you've got a real nice relaxed tone up here, so you've got an easy smile on your face most of the time. You kind of speak that people want to listen to, people want to root for, and you've got a nice pace of delivery, a thoughtful delivery. You choose your words quite carefully, and I think that would go really nicely into an evaluation. I think you pick the little points of improvement and the nice pieces of content out very nicely. So if you haven't done one before, I'd urge you to go for one of those roles. Darren, our counter, very measured as ever, Darren. You always like to hide away in the corner, but you need to come up here more. My big thing I've got written up here is do a bigger role, because you are so consummate when you come up here. You explain the role really nicely, talked us through what a crutch word is. You gave me a new crutch word actually I haven't heard before, which is in it, which I think anyone uses that. It must be below the age of 15, I don't think. I've heard that as a crutch word.
You gave an example tonight, I think it might have been Simon in his speech. But I didn't put it down as a crutch word because he was using it as an example.
Okay, cool. Right, a new one from me anyway. But I really like the way you kind of moved at different points as you were explaining it, and you gave a tip for how to avoid them with the pause, so it was a really good setup. And then the delivery back of your report was really interactive. It's quite an easy role to just talk about how many ums and ers people have given, and it can be quite factual and a little bit boring. But you ask the audience, what do you think was the most used crutch word tonight? Which was a nice kind of back and forth and brought a bit of colour to what can be quite a factual, functional role. So well done. But do we need a role? Come on. Our Toastmaster tonight, Richard. Hugely experienced, Richard. You've done this role many times, and that shone through. Everyone had, I'm sure, a lot of confidence in you doing the role. You didn't miss a trick. You asked all the relevant people up here at the right times. You did the votes. You put your own stamp on the meeting tonight. There was a few little things. So the table at the front, I don't know if that was down to you. That was kind of new. No? Okay. But it was a nice little change. You gave 90 seconds for feedback. You decided there was going to be no speaker vote tonight. A shorter break. There's lots of little bits that, as an experienced Toastmaster, you brought to the meeting and helped it kind of shape it into your vision, which was nice. My piece of advice, I think, would be, at the start it felt like when you opened the meeting you instantly got the people for the roles up here. So for me it was almost like, oh right, what's this meeting about? Whereas maybe if you'd just given a little bit of an intro to say, hi everyone, this is the Toastmasters meeting, this is kind of what we do here, and I'm going to invite some people up. That might have given a little bit more of a window to newcomers or anyone who's kind of a little bit vague about the format of the meeting, but really enjoyed it. So well done. The evaluators tonight. So firstly, I call on Paul. Paul, you're evaluating Simon. You've got really genuine delivery, Paul. I feel like you're at a point now where you're never ever putting on a persona up here. What you say just flows. There's no huge tick list. There's no great script that you want to tick off. It's coming from the heart. It's your own personality speaking, which I think is a great place to get to, and somewhere you can kind of build from and try different stuff from. You use your notes well. Really good tip for everyone. So whoever is up here with notes, like myself, Paul used them really well. So he kind of referred to his notes and then almost cast them aside, and his gestures were brilliant. He pointed at the screen very well and used hand gestures to emphasise points. Didn't rely on his notes too much. Didn't use them as a bit of a safety net. That was a great tip for everyone. And I like the way you spoke to the room. So you kind of talked about what Simon had covered in his speech to the room, but then when you got to the direct feedback, it was very much to Simon. I thought that was very personal and a nice way of giving an evaluation. I did feel, for someone who's just won an evaluation competition, it was a little bit negative maybe. There was a lot of critiques in there, a lot of builds, which I know Simon likes, to get some evaluation critique in there, but maybe a little bit of that sandwich of positive, negative, positive would have been a little bit more of a traditional way of doing an evaluation, but very, very good all the same. And then our second evaluator, Jane, won our competition tonight. Thought you got over a really nice intro, Jane. You gave a context to the fact that it was Kamalika's second time doing the speech, some of the points to think about from last time, and also the objectives of the speech generally. Used the word of the day. I like the fact that you called out India versus England in a cricket sense, and that came into my mind, so I'm not some cricketing off-ball in the corner on my own, so thanks for that. And you gave some really clear feedback, so I like the way that you rounded off, you said to round off the conclusion by coming back to the title, India versus England. And you gave some nice examples in feedback, like referring to Spanish in the way that Kamalika talked about Bengali and some words, so that was quite a nice little synergy there. But I did feel you were slightly quieter and less vocal variety in your speech than I normally see from you. You're very exuberant and quite light, and lots of different volumes and stage presences going on. So that was maybe a different style for you, but that's just something I noted. And I'm going to give Simon a little bit of feedback. He did our education and covered his amazing feat. Congratulations again. Stunning. I think you shown what everyone in the club has known for quite some time, that you're developed into quite a supreme speaker. So congratulations. And the way you covered it, I really enjoyed. It was really insightful. So the way you talked about, I've forgotten his name, is it Marcus? The art of rhetoric. I really liked how you explained that, and you gave clear examples, like with the Obama video. That was really helpful. And you gave a very clear insight into how you build a speech with the kind of colour coding on breaking down that evaluation. I thought that was really helpful and a good window into how an expert speaker might produce a real high quality evaluation. So that for people who are kind of up for development, trying to find ways to improve, a really good insight into how someone has got to a very high level. So thanks for that. Our table topics master, Paul, you're up next. Love the way you pitched it, really easy themes, very nice for people to be able to come up and have a clear, simple scenario to get after, which is I think the way the table topics should be. It's a time for people to come up, face the fears a bit, come and have a go, and to make it too complex is kind of rubs against that grain. So thanks for that. I think everyone enjoyed it and everyone kind of got stuck in and pushed through to the later cards. My only critique is that I felt you could have explained it a little bit more when you got up here. I know you've been up quite a few times and maybe you were kind of in the groove and just went straight into the detail of table topics, but maybe we could have covered the times or just a refresh on it's impromptu speaking, this is kind of the format, a little bit deeper dive into the theme. But the session was a success, everyone enjoyed it, there was some super table topics, so I think you should be pleased with your bit then. And then finally, our table topic evaluator, Ed. Where are you, Ed? There. Great vocal variety, Ed. I think you're known for that. You will always use all the stage, you'll always kind of say words and different pitches that we don't expect. You gave some good feedback for everyone. You covered the content for everyone, which was refreshing for everyone. My only thing I wrote was potentially maybe just make sure that feedback is actionable for everyone. It was sometimes a couple of them were a touch vague, and it for the person hearing that, you want to be able to take that feedback and think, right, I'm going to put that directly into my table topic on my speech next week. So maybe a couple of the bits of feedback could have been sharpened up a touch, and the points where you were stood on the stage were a touch close at times. I think I felt to some of the audiences maybe a touch on top of them, but apart from that, I thought you covered everyone with great detail. You must have either a huge brain or some great notes, so well done. And I think I've covered everyone, so now I'll hand over to our President, Paul, who's going to close the meeting and give us some awards. So thank you everyone, and well done, Paul.